Have you ever been paralyzed by a decision? I'm talking about those moments where you lie awake at night, running through scenarios in your head, making lists of pros and cons that seem to balance out perfectly, leaving you exactly where you started. Confused, anxious, stuck. What if I told you that over 2,000 years ago, philosophers discovered a single rule that cuts through all that noise? A principle so powerful that once you understand it, difficult decisions become remarkably clear. Almost instantly. Today I'm going to share this ancient secret with you. And I promise, by the end of this video, you'll have a tool that will transform the way you approach every major choice in your life. Now, this isn't some vague wisdom that sounds nice, but doesn't actually work. This is a practical, battle-tested principle that has guided emperors, philosophers, and leaders through some of history's most challenging decisions. And it's about to become your secret weapon. Before we dive in, I want to let you know that if you're serious about mastering this principle and applying it to every area of your life, I've created a comprehensive ebook that breaks down this ancient rule step by step with additional exercises and real-world applications. You can download it completely free by checking the description below. Trust me, it's the perfect companion to what we're about to explore together. All right, let's get into it. Here's the truth. Most of us weren't taught how to make decisions. We were taught math, history, science, but nobody sat us down and said, here's how you navigate the crossroads of your life. So what do? We overthink. We gather more information, hoping that somehow, magically, the right answer will reveal itself. We ask friends for advice, we make spreadsheets, we try to predict the future, and all of this just makes us more confused. Psychologists call this analysis paralysis. The more options we have, the more information we gather, the harder it becomes to choose. There's actually research showing that when people are given too many choices, they often end up choosing nothing at all. They freeze. Think about it. You're considering a career change. Should you stay in your comfortable but unfulfilling job, or leap into something uncertain but exciting? You list the pros and cons. Financial security versus passion, stability versus growth. The list goes on, and you're no closer to clarity. Or maybe it's a relationship decision. Should you commit to this person, or keep your options open? Should you forgive someone who hurt you, or cut them out of your life? These aren't simple yes or no questions. They're complex, layered, and deeply personal. Even the philosophers of ancient times recognized this struggle. Aristotle wrote about the difficulty of practical wisdom, of knowing not just what is good, but what to do in each specific situation. The Stoics grappled with how to make choices aligned with virtue in a world full of uncertainty. But here's where it gets interesting. While they acknowledged the difficulty, they also discovered something profound, a way through the maze. So what is this ancient rule? It comes from the Stoic philosophers, particularly from the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who wrote his meditations while leading an empire and fighting wars. The rule is this: when faced with a difficult decision, ask yourself one simple question. Does this align with my core values and the person I want to become? That's it. It's the secret. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Right. That sounds too simple. But stay with me, because the simplicity is exactly what makes it powerful. The Stoics understood something that modern psychology has only recently confirmed. We don't struggle with decisions because we lack information. We struggle because we're trying to satisfy too many competing desires at once. We want money and meaning. We want security and adventure. We want to please others and be true to ourselves. But when you filter every choice through the lens of your core values, suddenly the fog lifts. The decision becomes clear because you're not asking what will make you happy in the moment, or what will impress other people, or even what might work out best practically. You're asking what aligns with who you truly are and who you want to be. Marcus Aurelius put it this way: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. What he meant was that while we can't control outcomes, we can always control our choices. And the clearest choices are the ones rooted in our deepest values. The Stoics identified four cardinal virtues: wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. Every decision, they believed, should be filtered through these values. Does this choice require wisdom? Does it demand courage? Is it just? Does it show self-control? But here's the beautiful part. You don't have to be a Stoic to use this rule. Your core values might be different. Maybe yours are authenticity, compassion, growth, and integrity. Maybe they're family, creativity, service, and freedom. It doesn't matter what they are. What matters is that you know them, and you use them as your compass. When you do this, something remarkable happens. The external noise fades away, the opinions of others, the fear of missing out, the pressure to choose the safe path, all of it becomes secondary. You're making decisions based on internal alignment, not external validation. Let's make this practical. How do you actually use this ancient rule in your everyday life? Example 1. The career dilemma. Let's say you're offered a promotion. More money, more prestige, but also more hours and less time for your family. The old way of deciding would have you making lists, calculating the financial benefits, worrying about what people will think if you turn it down. But with the Stoic rule, you ask, what are my core values? Let's say one of your deepest values is being present for your children during their formative years. Another is integrity in your work. Another is personal growth. Now you ask, does this promotion align with these values? If the role requires you to sacrifice family time in a way that violates your core commitment to presence, the answer becomes clear. It doesn't matter how much money it offers. It's not aligned. But wait. What if the promotion offers genuine growth opportunities and the chance to work on projects that align with your integrity? Now you're looking at a different calculation. Maybe you negotiate for flexible hours. Maybe you accept for a limited time as a growth experience. The point is, you're deciding based on values, not fear or greed. Example 2, the relationship choice. You've been dating someone for a while, and they want to take the relationship to the next level, but something feels off. You can't quite put your finger on it. Your friends like them. They treat you well. On paper, it makes sense. Apply the ancient rule. 8. What are your core values in a partnership? Maybe they're mutual respect, emotional honesty, shared vision for the future, and deep connection. Now honestly assess the relationship against these values. Do you feel truly seen and respected? Can you be emotionally honest with this person? Or do you find yourself hiding parts of who you are? Do your visions for the future actually align? Or are you hoping they'll change? When you ask these questions, the vague feeling of something being off often crystallizes into clarity. Maybe this person is wonderful, but they're not wonderful for you. Or maybe you realize your hesitation is just fear, and the relationship actually does align with your deepest values. Example 3. The ethical dilemma. Your boss asks you to bend the rules on something. Nothing illegal, just a gray area that could benefit the company. You need this job. You don't want to make waves. The ancient rule cuts through the complexity immediately. Is integrity one of your core values? If it is, then no amount of rationalization changes the answer. You find a way to respectfully decline or propose an alternative. Because compromising your values for temporary gain is never worth the long-term cost to your sense of self. See how this works? The rule doesn't make life easier in the sense that every choice becomes comfortable. But it makes decisions clearer because you're anchored to something deeper than circumstances. Now, before you run off and start applying this rule to everything, let me warn you about the most common mistakes people make. Mistake number 1. Confusing preferences with values. A lot of people think they know their values, but what they actually know are their preferences. You might prefer comfort, but is comfort a core value? You might prefer being liked, but is popularity truly one of your deepest values? Real values are the principles you defend even when it's uncomfortable, or what you'd want to be remembered for, or what you teach your children is non-negotiable. To avoid this mistake, ask yourself, would I still hold this value if it cost me something significant? If the answer is no, it's probably a preference, not a value. Mistake number 2. Having too many values. If everything is a core value, then nothing is. You can't have 20 core values. The word core means central, essential, fundamental. Most people have 3 to 5 core values. Any more than that, and you'll end up with the same paralysis you had before, just dressed up in different language. Be ruthless about identifying what truly matters most. This requires deep self-reflection and honesty. Mistake number 3. Using the rule to avoid difficult emotions. Some people use this principle as a way to bypass fear or discomfort. They say, well, courage is one of my values, so I should take this terrifying leap. But courage isn't recklessness. The Stoics paired courage with wisdom for a reason. The ancient rule isn't about ignoring your emotions or taking foolish risks. It's about making sure your decisions are rooted in who you are, not in temporary feelings. Sometimes courage means taking the leap. Sometimes it means having the strength to walk away. Wisdom helps you know the difference. Mistake number 4. Thinking values are fixed forever. Your core values can evolve as you grow. What mattered most to you at 20 might not be what matters most at 40. The rule still works. You just need to regularly check in with yourself and make sure you're clear on what your current core values actually are. Set aside time once a year to reflect. Are these still my values? Have I changed? Am I living in alignment? This practice keeps the ancient rules sharp and relevant. So let me ask you this. Right now, what's the difficult decision you're facing? Maybe it's something big. A move across the country, ending or starting a relationship, changing careers. Or maybe it's something smaller, but still significant. How to spend your time. Whether to have a difficult conversation. What to prioritize this month. Whatever it is, I want you to pause for a moment and think about your core values. Not what you think you should value, not what your parents valued, or what society says you should value. What do you actually value? If you're not sure, here's a quick exercise. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most alive, most yourself, most proud of who you were. What values were you honoring in those moments? That's a clue. Now take that difficult decision and hold it up against those values. Does this choice align with who I am and who I want to become? You might find that the answer comes quickly, almost instantly, just like I promised at the beginning. That's the power of this ancient rule. It cuts through the noise because it reconnects you with what actually matters. And here's the beautiful part. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes. Decision-making starts to feel less like a burden and more like an expression of who you are. You stop second-guessing yourself because you're anchored to something solid. The Stoics believed that a life lived in alignment with your values is a life of tranquility, even in the midst of chaos. Marcus Aurelius led an empire, fought wars, dealt with plagues and political intrigue, and yet he found peace. Not because his circumstances were easy, but because his choices were clear. You can have that same clarity, starting today. And if you want to go deeper into this practice, remember to check the description below to download the free ebook. It includes reflection exercises, additional examples, and a step-by-step process for identifying and living by your core values. Let me leave you with this. Every decision you make is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every single one. The small choices and the big ones. What you say yes to and what you say no to. How you spend your time, who you spend it with, what you're willing to tolerate, and what you're willing to fight for. The ancient philosophers knew something we often forget in our modern world of endless options and information overload. Clarity doesn't come from having more choices. It comes from knowing who you are. So use this rule. Ask the question, is this aligned with my core values and the person I want to become? And then trust yourself enough to follow through. Your future self will thank you. Not because every decision will lead to a perfect outcome, but because you'll know that whatever happens, you made choices that were true to who you are. That's wisdom. That's freedom. That's the secret the ancients discovered, and now it's yours. Take some time today to reflect on a decision you're facing. Apply this ancient rule. See what happens. You can then come back and let me know in the comments how it worked for you. I read every single one, and I'd love to hear about your experience. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.